Today we are going to focus on learning analytics and analyzing a model. Learning analytics is measuring, collecting, analyzing, and reporting data about learners with the purpose of improving their learning. And 6 ways to do this is first by involving stakeholders, having objectives, analyzing data, using various instruments including technology, external limitations that might be outside of your control within the institution that you work, and internal limitations. We are first going to discuss these different dimensions, citing the case study from the article, the reference article, and then look at a model case. First, stakeholders, including teachers, students, instructors, and the institution, often called data clients. The clients could be institutions, employees, or agents who support learning, such as school staff. In higher education, this might look different than elementary because they have different levels, such as professors, administrators, and even the president of the college, who's involved and has a stake in the students' learning. Whereas in elementary, most directly affected are the teachers and the students. And parents also have an interest in furthering their students' learning. Next is the objective. In order to have effective learning analytics, we must have an objective that we're studying. So for reflection and prediction, we must have self-evaluation of a data client, and it must offer personalized information of the learner's progress. Also, by predicting and modeling the learner's activities that they will be working on, we can create early interventions and provide adaptive services such as technology and curricula. Also, by predicting special needs that students might have, we can then create lessons that meet those needs. Instructors can analyze student interactions, identify network connections between students, and identify isolated students to bring them back into the discussion using different techniques, and also predict issues learners might have. And this case study example is from the article. Educational data uses open data sources, such as anonymization, which masks the student's name and information. It also creates access to open data to inform improvements without compromising the safety and information of students. It also provides more data for more personalized learning and to improve learning and achievement on assessments. The case study mentions students' interactions and posts that can be seen in a discussion forum, because the objective is to measure student discussion, and the data could be posts that are published and posts that are replied to. Some instruments that can be used are various technologies and educational data mining, machine learning, classical statistical analysis techniques. In elementary schools, some instruments could be iReady to measure students' performance, and also and Prodigy and different educational softwares. In the case study noted in the article, constructivist learning views can be used to show to produce higher learning outcomes in discussions. Using technology, integrating that into the classroom, instructors can use social networking analysis and statistics to have students participate more in discussions. And to present their learning, students can use tables, graphs, or representations of their learning rather than pencil and paper. External limitations refers to ethical aspects like privacy and personal data. So instructors must be within legal limits and adhere to all compliance issues. Students have the right to anonymity before their personal information and data is used. In the case study, the data being used must be in compliance with privacy arrangements, and all parties involved must be informed of what the data is going to be used for, which goes into ethics. What is the data being used for, and are there legal protections? How and when will the student's data be used? Some internal limitations are competencies such as interpretation and critical thinking. Interpretation refers to visualization. which often takes away from what is really being shown. So how is the instructor presenting the data? And is the visualization taking away from the actual meaningful data? And critical thinking using quantitative analysis to access the data sets, to look at it using numbers and using data. Quantitative analysis to look at the data. The case study in the article talks about learners having the necessary competencies to act upon the results of the data, and can the students understand and present the information. A sample case using all of these competencies is an example from an elementary school, where the objective is to analyze student writing to identify common errors in grammar and spelling. The stakeholders would be students, teachers, parents, and school staff, and anyone involved in that child's education. The data used would be student writing samples from 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grades, and the time frame would be samples taken from the beginning of 2nd grade, the end of 2nd grade, the beginning of 3rd grade, the end of 3rd grade, and the beginning of 4th grade, and the end of 4th grade, to look at how students have improved each year and how they've improved from 2nd grade, the beginning of the year, to 4th grade, the end of the year. So a 3-year study. This study will be done with all 4th graders, so all the information should be present, except for the end of year 4th grade, depending on when the activity is performed. The learning analytic activity is performed. Some instruments that can be used, some materials are the partner writing, checklist, spelling list, grammar lessons, and iReady software or other software. And students can write in writing or type based on their needs. Some external limitations for this study is that students will correct and analyze each other's writing with the intention of improving their own, which will be ongoing throughout the year. Some external limitations would have to do with privacy and ethical considerations, which is important to note since students work in a classroom, they are giving up their right to work with other students unless made clear to the instructor. So their work can be published and seen by other students. Some internal limitations would be that students will be provided with scaffolding, grammar lessons, and checklists, and rubrics will be provided to make the learning accessible to all learners. Learning analytics is important to improve learning and student achievement, especially in elementary schools. I can see learning analytics being valuable for high school and higher education because of the data the more comprehensive data that you can collect from those student populations. On the elementary school level, the data mostly is dealing with students and their demographic information or their academic information in order to directly inform their progress. I feel that on the elementary level, you can see a greater change from analyzing the data to improving teacher instruction to analyzing their results. On the higher education level, I think the change takes a little longer to see an effect.